It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. It's Feedback Friday, and I'm pre-recording Feedback Friday way early this week, so if there's any comments on Wellness Wednesday, I will not be able to get them in. I messed up uploading Wellness Wednesday, so it didn't go up until noon. I'm way overextended this week, but it was a spicy week for comments, and I have been trying to figure out how to process them because there was contradictory opinions. And it's funny because just last Feedback Friday, Sog and I did the all men, all women, let's not do this. And this week we're right back into all men, all women, let's not do this. And some people gave very nuanced, mature commentary on the idea of what men want in a partner and what women want in a partner. And other people, particularly a hilarious commenter on Twitch. We have not had one of these in a while on Twitch, but this guy said, "You're wrong. Men don't date basically trophy girlfriends for status. They do it because men are visually stimulated." And I am so damn tired of this argument because it's not backed up by any science that the type of typically high status beauty in a woman is linked to healthy BMI, hip to waist ratio, anything like that. It just isn't the ideal visual of BMI for women is 18 to 20, and a minimum healthy BMI starts at 18.5. So, and this is only in cultures with an abundance of food, not necessarily healthy food, but an abundance of food. In societies where resources are scarcer, the thick women tend to be seen as a greater beauty standard. And then you get into Second Life, which I experienced because of Mary Jess concerts. Now, I am still using my original pre-build, hey, what the heck do they call it? Fire something. I forget. He says, use this, make a character, come into Second Life. Okay, I do it. Firestorm. That's what it's called. I knew it was a superhero. I was like, Phoenix? No, Firestorm. You can see the similarity there, right? But in Second Life, thick women are everywhere. I noticed this because I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. Really bottom heavy thick women are popular in Second Life. And the reason it's notable for that is Second Life is a place that people can be anything they want to be. And they choose to be that. And that kind of observation of wish fulfillment is fascinating to me. I also read an article this week about how youth has become the new dieting, that the author compared watching her mother starve herself to stay thin, because in the 90s, that was the thing. And now it's all looking young, preventative Botox, serums, all that stuff. So lucky me, I got to be fat in the 90s and over 40 in the current year. So I got the shit end of the stick, both sides. And the thing that is so frustrating to me about this is I was not fat. I was actually, in healthy, if, on the low end of body fat percentage, but I was competitive in dance, and I just, I was muscled as shit, but I did have a fat layer. So everybody was just like, you're fat, and nothing fit. And I didn't look like anybody in the media. And that is important when you're being actively invalidated in the real world and nobody who looks like you is represented in media. And so this became a interest, one bout of anorexia and a radical feminist phase later. I am, now, I mean, the anorexia probably contributed to the autoimmune condition I have now. Don't know for sure, but it makes sense. And that's why the whole, oh no, men prefer women of a certain look because health and fertility. And some of the women that are held up as trophies are so thin, so unhealthily thin, it affects their menstruation. So it actually makes them less fertile. And let's face it, these men, a lot of the times, are not wanting to have babies with these women. It's just, Donald Trump was not looking to procreate with Stormy Daniels, right? So it's this sort of thing where it actually doesn't make sense on any scientific paradigm. So there is something going on here that's a status thing. I mean, and one, it's interesting that some men don't want to admit this, that, men are visually stimulated. Well, everybody has a level of enjoying beauty. Everybody has a level of that person's attractive, that person's not. If it wasn't, then, the shirtless supernatural scenes and shirtless Thor, that was not just for gay men, right? That was for women. So, and it doesn't explain the lack of variety in the status girlfriends, in the trophy girlfriends. But this one guy still decided to come on to my stream and make that claim. And when I said, I was being kind of snarky, but anyway, he pushed back. And then I said, look, dude, do you have a girlfriend? And he wouldn't answer. And I said, have you ever had a girlfriend? And he wouldn't answer. And then he said he didn't think that was relevant. Never having a partner and talking about, because it wasn't, what do you look at in porn? What did you have in your locker when you were a teenage boy? It was, it was about partnership and who you chose to date in an ostensibly, a performative long-term relationship, right? Having ever been in a relationship is kind of significant in terms of talking about this, since the science doesn't bear out his claim. And I wish more people would, because when I say something I like, when I say something I find attractive, I only speak for myself. When I'm speaking about men typically or women typically, I usually add typical. I'm not perfect, but, it isn't everybody. And it's funny that not all men is a thing among the same men that seem to be able to go, well, men are this and women are that. And this is just science and we can't change it. And that's, one, utterly absurd. Two, I said on Twitch that it not only shames women who are not between, for some odd reason, the creepers like 16-year-olds, and I don't get that, but, between 20 and 35, the actress cast as Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four movie is 35. Pedro Pascal is 48. I notice these things because when, Haley Atwell is 45, Tom Cruise is 60, this is saying something, right? That 35 for women is 48 for men. 45 for women is 60 for men. This is absurd. And this is completely culturally constructed. And it is ego. Ego in this constructed, like, the best way for an older man to look virile is to have a younger woman beside him. Not too young anymore, because that's too much, but a good 13 to 15 year age gap, it sends a message. And it's amazing how offended men get when you're blunt about what the message is, which is women over 40 are disgusting and useless, and certainly over 45. For some odd reason, people think menopause happens a lot younger than it actually does. I don't know why, but the idea that a woman's entire worth is her ability to make babies is absurd when you look at the percentage, even among men, younger men who don't want kids, never want kids. Obviously, that's not an across the board thing, And again, men like different things. The actual hip to waist ratio thing, the actual healthy BMI, so between 18.5 and I think it's 23 plus, over 25 is obese. But it is, as somebody who's been a little bit overweight and a lot underweight, 10 pounds underweight is more dangerous than 30 pounds overweight. So when we talk about health and we talk about making babies, our beauty myth, our beauty standard does not match that. And, there's a reason I made a big deal about Taylor Swift chugging a beer at the Super Bowl in a midriff bearing top, because, she's off the clock. She's not worried about bloating. Good for her. And I recently read an article about how she actually was, she had an unhealthy relationship with food earlier in her career. And I noticed that they always photograph her in this one particular pose where she's like bent like this and her arms are back like that. And I wonder if that's the one pose that they're allowed to run photos with. I don't know. But that one pose seems to be how they think she looks her best. And I don't get it, because she's clearly healthy. She looks healthier now than I think she did before. But she does not look as expensive as she did before, right? Because being now, it's, there's jokes about Kate Middleton getting a Brazilian butt lift. And like I said, Botox at late 20s, that is botulism you are putting in your face in your late 20s. Holy shit. Then there's Ozempic, people just, the new designer weight loss drug. People are going out of their way to unnaturally look younger and thinner than their body wants to be. And getting long COVID was special because getting long COVID prevented me from being able to eat low carb. And so I put on weight. And the truth is, I feel a lot better, but I look worse. And this has got me. And to be clear, I don't believe any of this. I do not subscribe to any of these claims. This is just me saying I am aware of the cultural paradigm. It's why I can't stand Instagram. I don't get it. I don't understand the whole filters thing. I don't understand the giant lips and all of that. It doesn't look human at one point. It looks plastic, and I start getting this is not a human. There's uncanny valley going on. And so, as a female attracted person, I am like, ugh. But that's considered ideal beauty. To whom? Because the minute you find out what's involved in looking that way, it's a fucking Cronenberg movie. And I do think that does tie into the whole wealth thing, because you need a second income just for a facelift is $10,000. That's mid-range, or no, low range. I think mid-range is $14,000. When a family member got breast implants, it was, I don't know if it was $3,000 or $4,500, but that was years ago, right? Like, that's more than a lot of people make in a month for one boob job. And you have to do that every 10 to 15 years because they do need to be replaced. And, you're spending the cost of at least a car or a down payment on your house or a student loan on how you look. Women like that are gonna want the money, right? And that's even without the motherhood penalty. Now, one of the things that came up in the comments that were reasonable about the motherhood penalty video, and I knew that one was going to be a little bit spicy. I didn't expect the two women talking one to be more controversial to that one dude, but there was some pushback in the two women talking video. I just think it was an emotional reaction, and not that emotional reaction is not valid. It's just you can't reason with an emotional reaction. But the idea that even wealthy women want rich men or a richer man, I do want to add on to that because that is true. And I remember there was this, I think it was the movie Michael Clayton. It starred George Clooney, but this actress Vera something, she was one of the other characters in it. And I remember her character saying to the younger kind of ingenue woman in the movie that when she's going through the list of things in a man, it's like he needs to make more money than you. You don't understand why that's important now, but you will. And I remember at the time thinking, yeah, because a lot of men can't handle it when a woman makes more money than him. And it is one of these things older women have been through, gone through the pain of it, had the invalidation and the gaslighting accordingly. And we know younger women probably won't believe it because it sucks, right? It sucks. It sucks that these things are true. But I think that we coddle the female obsession with beauty because, the article I believe was right. It's shifted from thinness to youth, but it hasn't gotten any better. Girls are just shoving themselves full of things and spending ridiculous money on anti-aging and cosmetic surgery to look young, just instead of thin. And shoving your body full of crap doesn't matter how, and they do that for a reason, right? That is status. That is perceived value for society. Because nobody does that just for themselves. Nobody does. It's too unpleasant and painful, and the recovery and the maintenance, it's a lot. And I mean, that's the other thing. To look a certain way requires time, not just money. Meaning you're not working 80 hours a week and looking like a feminine ideal. You're just not. It takes 3 hours of glam squad at the beginning of the day to look that way. And then there's the gym, and then there's the very specific food, and so on and so forth. You're not pulling my hours looking that way, right? You're not. You need people, you need to be able to pay people to help you maintain that appearance. That is just fact. And if we don't like it, women need to stop blaming men, and men need to stop blaming women. And all of us have to stop blaming science. And we need to recognize that science does not say any of this makes sense. Science says beauty standards are cultural, and we are seeing a spread of Western beauty standards to the rest of the world. Asian women want to look lighter skinned. Black women want, the white hair. And God, since a male student in Texas was barred from attending class because he had locks that were longer than this. That's having gone to school with people who had braids and locks. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But Texas people, looking more white, being the beauty standard, says something. That's not just, that's what men find attractive. This is status, right? And there's no getting around that. There isn't. And it's health, it's fertility, no. Because if you actually talk to people honestly about what they're attracted to, like really honestly attracted to, if they're completely brutally honest, it's far more wide-ranging and far more idiosyncratic than we see performed in culture. And I know a lot of women who would like to not have to worry about money. You talk to dating coaches and they say the most important thing to a woman is how you make her feel, not the way you look, not how much money you make. But let's face it, being put together, seeming like you take care of yourself, does factor in to that feeling. And another thing I'd love to get away from is women being experts in emotions. Maybe I'll talk about that next week, but I have to get through the weekend and rest and get back up to steam because it's been a busy time. So not a lot of answers here, a lot more questions than anything, but sometimes the most logical scientific thing is to go, okay, this is what it's not. We can speculate on what it is, but we know it's not this. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't correlate. There's no causal link. No. Let's stop saying it is what it's not. That makes sense to me. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/Leanna K. Or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Both of these get you access to our Discord at the beginning of every month. So coming up, we talk about this stuff. A lot of Discord conversation ends up in Feedback Friday. So thanks for watching and have a great weekend.